And we're live now. Yes. And then as soon as I got live, I got a message. I hope you didn't hear that ding. So welcome to Romance Happy Hour. We are, of course, Dylan, I mean, we sometimes we're like 50-50, whether we're together or not. And last
I
time
know.
I was missing.
I was here all by myself last time. Well, not
I
all by
know.
myself. I was here with our featured authors, but yes, I was not here with you.
I
So
know.
it's been like a whole month since I've seen you.
I know. I I was jet setting through Idaho on our razor and simultaneously like doing real estate deals on top of the mountain because I mean, you worked real estate, so you know that it only happens when you're on vacation.
Yes. Although I was never
Yes.
a real estate agent, I
Right.
just helped do social media and marketing and stuff. So, but yes, I
Yeah.
did witness that. You knew that as soon as you were leaving town for something, you were going
Yeah.
to be having to write a deal. So,
Yep. So I
but
was
don't
on
I thought you were done with the real estate.
I am
Okay.
adjacent. I
You keep
am
saying that.
90 80% of the time I am done
Okay.
with real estate.
Mhm.
But I have some lots that are on for sale, and nothing has happened to them until I was on vacation,
Of
and
course.
then I got a text at the one time that we got into cell service. So
Okay.
that's what I was doing while you were. Also,
Well,
I
I
was
was
drunk a
enjoying
lot.
myself at Romance Happy Hour.
I know. I know.
So,
Get to hear about all of our awesome authors. So, besides that, what have you been working on?
I actually have super exciting news because last weekend I did I don't know if anybody saw on social media, I talked about it a little bit, but I went to a Women and Wolves weekend at the International Wolf Center up in northern Minnesota. I'm in Minnesota.
Oh,
I don't know. We didn't cover that yet with Laura and Carol, but yeah, I'm in Minnesota. And so it was really cool. I wanted to go and learn more about wolves because in the Mustang Mountain series, we have a character, a wolf named Hades, who is constantly showing up. And I mean, he's been now, gosh, Casey's going to be releasing September's book next week, and so that will be, I don't know, I can't math that quickly. What, like 33 books, novellas, and I think Hades has made an appearance in every single one. So after 33 books, I decided maybe I should learn something about wolves, right?
yes.
Yeah.
I
No.
love it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was really cool because we hiked in the Superior National Forest. I canoed in the Boundary Waters. Boundary Waters are the lakes and everything that are up between Minnesota and, well, I mean, not just Minnesota, but between the U.S. and Canada and everything. So that was super cool. And then
Did
we got to learn all about the wolves. And then we slept in the auditorium at the wolf place with these big, huge like windows. And so we were looking out over the wolf enclosure. And so yeah, so all night long they had the noise from outside piped in. And so all night long we could hear them like barking, or they'd get into one of them would Grayson was the dominant male, and so he would be correcting one of the other wolves or something like that. So it was super cool.
a couple questions.
Sure.
Did you get any sleep?
I did. Yeah, surprisingly. It wasn't great sleep, but I got some sleep. So,
Okay. And
yep.
did you stay upright the entire time on your canoe, or did you
We
fall?
did. You know what though? We only honestly, I mean, I say I canoed in the Boundary Waters. We literally canoed past the sign that said, basically welcome to the Boundary Waters. Because we were only in the canoe for about an hour because it was kind of
Mhm.
rainy and windy, and then the sun would come out, and then all of a sudden the sun would go behind the clouds, and then like a big wind would come. And so we almost tipped over, I think once or twice. And I really think that was the first time I canoed. Like I maybe canoed at Girl Scout camp. Have you guys canoed?
A Girl
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scout camp.
Yeah, and so I was trying to remember, like, I think I probably canoed at Girl Scout camp, like however many dozens, and I won't say how many years ago, but but I don't really remember it. And so I was in the back, so I was the steerer, and I think after all that, I prefer kayaking. I don't like working as a team in a canoe. I want to be on my own and do my own thing. It was really
Yeah.
difficult to coordinate because with the canoeing, you have to like switch sides. You go here and then you have to switch to here. And with the kayak, you just kind of like dip and then dip. And so yeah.
Yeah, I prefer whitewater rafting because if I'm going to have to do
Oh,
the
well,
work, I
sure.
want to have the fun. But canoeing, the last time I was canoeing was with my boyfriend in high school, and we tipped over, and
Okay.
it was like a prom date, pre-date.
Oh,
So,
like were you all dressed up?
no, thank goodness.
Oh.
Also, fun fact.
You have pre-dates to prom in Montana?
Oh, yeah, we were in Idaho, but yeah.
Okay.
We do there, and every dance, and they have like 20 dances a year there.
What's a pre-date? Like the day of the dance, you go out before the
you
dance?
go on a date. Yeah, it's kind of a whole day thing. You go
Oh.
on a date, then you go
This
to
news
dinner,
to me.
then you go to the dance. But I was a thespian, not to be confused with a lesbian. But
Oh my
I was
God,
a
Dawn.
thespian. I'm just saying, thespian. My mom confused it when I told her I was a thespian. That's acting. Okay, Dylan. And so we actually never went in formal dresses. We always like went themed. So that one was Cowboys and Indians. And so I was dressed up like an Indian, and my boyfriend was dressed up like a cowboy when we
That's super interesting. This is getting worse like by the moment. So should we meet our authors, please?
We should. We should meet our authors. I told
feel like
you
first,
guys.
though, that should be a scene in a book.
Yeah.
That is an adorable scene in your outfit, tipped over in the canoe. I can picture it.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you. Thank you for validating me tonight. All right. So we are joined by Carol. Okay. Hende.
No.
Hende. I'm so sorry. I'm horrible with names. You
even practiced before we got going.
We did. We did.
It's a long one.
And yes. Lara London. Can I just say Goodbye Orchid then? Or no, you're the author of Goodbye Orchid. Orchid. Okay. And Laura London. Welcome, ladies. Clearly, I'm a hot mess, and Dylan, like I said, is not. So, welcome. How about you guys introduce ourselves? Say your names right for our viewers, and let us know what you're reading from. Sorry.
Do you want me to go
first, Carol? Yeah, that'd be great.
Sure. Hey, everyone. I'm Carol Hende, the author of the Goodbye Orchid series, and this is the book I'm going to be reading from. It is my debut novel that came out in 2020, The Book of My Heart, that became a trilogy, and so I can talk about that. And I'm joining you here tonight from New Jersey, where I wear many hats, as probably all of us do. I'm an executive by day. I govern responsible AI for a large corporation. Wow. And then by night and in the weekends, I'm an author with my fourth book coming out in November, which I'm so excited about and hope we'll have a chance to chat about. And then outside of all of that, I'm also a mom of twins, a climate reality leader, and I really enjoy serving on boards.
So you have like lots of free time.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking for a hobby, in fact.
I was going to say, I feel like mom of twins is where you should have led with and then stopped because, oh my gosh. Free time all the way. And
how old are your kiddos, Carol?
So luckily, my guys are grown, which is why I have time for writing. They're 22 now. But
Okay.
actually, I'm mom to a second set of twins. I hope my cats might make a cameo because we have twin Siberian kitties too.
Oh, awesome.
We
So,
love cats.
so can you, I mean, all right, this might be a super ignorant question. How can you tell if cats are twins? I mean, are they, because like a cat will have multiple cats in a litter or multiple kittens. I mean,
So these cats, they're purebred because they are actually more hypoallergenic. Otherwise, I'm allergic to cats. And we
okay.
know because the breeder said that this mama cat only had two kittens.
Oh,
So it was a
wow.
really small litter.
Okay.
So these two were the only ones that came out. So they're
Oh,
twins. It doesn't mean they're identical twins.
sure.
They're fraternal
Mm,
twins, just like my
Okay.
boy
Gotcha.
twins
Gotcha.
are fraternal twins.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
okay.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very,
And then like AI though, holy cow. That
It's
I
that's a hot
mean,
topic, a
that is a
controversial
hot
topic.
super
controversial
interesting.
and just like probably difficult because AI is you got a lot going on with AI at this moment right now. So, oh, good
Yeah, this
gracious.
corner of the world is so interesting because the responsible use of AI is the ethics of AI.
Hmm.
How do you deploy AI ethically is what I'm
Hmm.
responsible for.
That's
Yeah,
awesome, though.
Very interesting.
I love
Yeah.
it.
And then the other thing I had to say was we're in Jersey because one of the big long running jokes on here is I've lived everywhere because I was in the military and Jersey is one of them. So we're in
Excellent.
Jersey.
I'm
If you
in
don't mind saying, if you don't mind saying.
I'm in Morris County, which is about an hour outside of Manhattan,
Okay.
northern Jersey. Where were
Okay.
you
Cape
when
May.
you were?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
South.
beautiful area.
Yeah. South,
Really
south,
great.
south.
Yeah,
Super south
totally
of
different
Jersey.
area.
South
Yeah.
Jersey.
Jersey's
So,
not that big though.
no. Yeah. All
Um,
right, Laura. Okay. Laura.
Lara London, and I should have gone first because I am not saving the climate, but I am writing steamy romances, and I like to think that I am saving women's and men's minds and sanity a little bit every day. I'm going to read tonight from Wham Bam Marry Me Ma'am, which I'm going to put up because it's only an ebook.
Mhm.
So I'll put it up this way. I write short and steamy, and I skew more rom-com. I have a very hard time writing anything too intense or serious, as much as I love reading it.
Mhm.
So hopefully this first chapter will make you laugh a little bit tonight.
I can tell by your title that it's going to be amazing.
That was the goal.
Yeah.
Get the point across.
Yes. I think we can tell already, get a sense for that. So, and welcome to everybody who is joining us tonight. So I see Jen and Tiffany. We're super happy to have you here. And as always, if you have questions for our guest authors, feel free to pop them in the comments. As anytime during the show, we'll make sure that we get those answered for you.
Yes.
So.
Okay. So, Laura, you decided to go first, right?
Yes.
She
Okay.
volunteered tonight. We didn't have to volunteer anyone that they're going
We
first.
didn't.
It's
Yes.
actually
It
very,
was like,
very amicable.
yeah. She's like, I will, if that's okay. And I'm like, yeah, we're like, yeah, totally.
Carol
That's
very
totally
kindly
okay.
let me.
All right, we're going to put you up there. We're going to mute everybody else and get you off screen. So if you need to set anything up, please do so.
Okay. All right. So this is the first book in the Billings Brothers trilogy, which is a short and steamy billionaire romance. It's Wham Bam Marry Me Ma'am. And it's a steamy 2 hours or less romance with no cheating and a guaranteed happily ever after. I have censored it for tonight, but my books are pretty liberal with cursing. So if that is a problem, I totally understand, but I am not the right author for you. You will not enjoy my books if you do not appreciate a little bit of cursing. I write in dual point of view. So I'm going to read the first chapter for the book, which is from the male main character's point of view, which is his name is Vaughn. All right. She's crying, Barrett. I wave a dismissive hand at the closed door behind which the weeping woman disappeared. Barrett clenches his jaw, turning to stare at me incredulously. Yes, after talking to you for an entire 5 minutes, she's in tears, Vaughn. Go figure. Precisely. That wouldn't work for me, for us. I replaced the cap on my pen, leaning toward my brother, who seems in need of more information to put two and two together. I can't have someone bursting into tears every time I look at her. Vaughn, she isn't crying because you looked at her. You asked if she had any pets, and then when she mentioned her cat, you inquired whether she was particularly attached. Shrugging, I steeple my fingers together in front of my face. Sometimes I require my assistant to stay for long hours. If she has a pet to get home to, it will be a problem. It's not an appropriate question. Vaughn, you might as well have asked if she has kids or if she wants to see your, Barrett glares at me and West bursts out laughing. Please, I would never date anyone at work. I'm a professional. I roll my eyes. Don't waste your breath trying to explain this, Barrett. Vaughn needs to pick who he wants or we'll all be miserable. Weston leans back in his chair with a grin, watching the scene unfold like he doesn't have a care in the world. I pinch the bridge of my nose, attempting to keep my composure in the face of their condescension. Looks-wise, we are without a doubt all related. Same dark hair and features, and thanks to sharing a personal trainer, our bodies are all relatively similar in size, although I'm an inch taller than both of my brothers, a fact that gives me immense pleasure. Personality-wise, however, my brothers are the polar opposite of me. Barrett is the chief marketing officer and everybody loves him. Weston can laugh and joke with people easily and manages to keep us on board financially as the CFO, even if he does it while acting as if he doesn't have a care in the world. Both my brothers take their jobs seriously, but neither of them understands what is required to keep a company our size afloat, the number of systems required to keep everyone employed. I am not particularly warm, but I know every single person's name who works for us. I've met them all, and I appreciate anyone who values our mission and goals. I genuinely care about making sure our company thrives for the good of the people we work for as much as for ourselves. Barrett shakes his head. No, he's not in charge of picking this one. Vaughn has hired the last 4 and they all quit. You stole Marcus, so that hardly counts. My dream assistant filched right out from under my nose by my own brother. He deserved to get promoted, and he's brought in more sales in the last month than we had in all of Q2 last year. It was the right move for the business, and you know it. Barrett glares at me. You don't get to keep Marcus from success because you have a complex. I rear back, appalled. I am happy for Marcus. I want to see him succeed as much as anyone. I simply miss him. He was excellent at his job. Wes snorts out a laugh. I've never heard you say you miss me, brother. What gives? I bristle. I'm not a jerk. I'm particular. Both my brothers finish for me in unison. Clenching my jaw, I refill my water glass. Why don't we hire 2 assistants? I'll pick one and you 2 can share one. Barrett sighs loudly. Vaughn, we've talked about this. We need one person who can manage all our schedules and our time when we're in the office together. When West and I are traveling, the new assistant is yours, but we need someone who can keep us on track together. I don't trust you to pick the new assistant. Fine, West is picking for us. West perks up. All right, now we're cooking with fire. I roll my eyes. He's going to pick someone unacceptable to mess with me and we'll be right back here again in a week. I will not. I don't like a day of interviews any more than you, West protests. No, I shake my head, but Barrett grins at me. He pulls out a short blue sheet of paper and my stomach drops. Remember 2 months ago, we stopped by that small little hole-in-the-wall bar and you bet me they wouldn't have the scotch you wanted? I clenched my jaw. Is this what you're wasting your win on? What is it? West asks. Barrett's grin grates on my last nerve as he hands the paper over to our brother. I, Vaughn Billings, lost a bet. This paper allows Barrett Billings, the winner and handsomest of all the Billings brothers. West stops reading, tossing the paper back to Barrett. You wish. Barrett chuckles. He lost the bet. I get a company decision of my choice with no complaints. He taps the paper on the table. Fine, I grit out. But I'm not keeping someone who can't do the job. Fine, but you can only fire them if it's about their job performance. Nothing of a personal nature. Barrett points his finger at me and West nods in agreement. I take a deep breath and West shifts over to Barrett's seat in the middle of the table when Barrett gets up to call in the next applicant. West turns to me. Due to the added handsomest brother nonsense, I promise to choose wisely, Vaughn. Glaring down at my papers, I glance at the next person's name, Rachel Diver. Hello. A soft melodic voice travels across the large conference room. I look up, swallowing hard when my eyes lock with Rachel's. Her long, dark brown hair flows freely in loose waves. Dark brown eyes shine with a positive energy that would typically drive me crazy, but instead my heart squeezes in delight. My body stands to attention as her pink tongue darts out to lick her plump lips, and she settles into the chair across from us. If you had asked me moments ago if I believe in love at first sight, I would have dismissed you like dirt beneath my shoe. But in walks Rachel, and call me filthy, I am in love and ready to make this woman my wife. No, absolutely not, I write, and then slide the paper over to West, giving him a side eye as I shake my head slightly. West furrows his brow at me, shoving the paper back and smiling at Rachel. Barrett asked the first question, getting the interview started. Rachel, tell us about your experience managing multiple schedules at once. I don't even know what she says. I underline the 2 words 3 times, aggressively sliding it over to West again, but he doesn't stop the interview. For 20 minutes, I listen to Rachel answer question after question with poise, grace, and stunning capability. Had she been any other applicant, I would have hired her on the spot, but I cannot have Rachel around me all day, every day. I can't. I'm sorry, but you're not a good fit. I suddenly break in as Barrett starts to ask another question. My body responds like a teenager going through puberty as she turns her dark, chocolatey brown eyes toward me and blinks. I shift uncomfortably in my chair, gripping my pen tightly. Barrett turns sharply, glaring at me. What? Why waste her time? I avoid making eye contact with either of my brothers, but I also can't look at the goddess sitting in the chair in front of me, so I end up circling my head around like I'm chasing a bug. Oh, okay. The disappointment in Rachel's voice forces me to look at her against my better judgment. Her soft voice calls to me like a siren on the water, but her lovely eyes look so sad I have to glance down quickly at the papers in front of me to keep from leaping over the table to comfort her. My brother's eyes are boring holes in the side of my head, and I turn toward them with gritted teeth. Before Barrett can say anything to me, her soft melodic voice says firmly, "It's okay. I'll get the next one." We all turn to stare at her, and Wes chuckles. "You'll what?" I ask, genuinely curious what she means. Then there's a shift, like her whole body lets out all the emotions begging to burst forward, and she releases them into the air. Rachel smiles at me with a soft, peaceful look on her face. "I'll get the next job," she clarifies, like she's referring to catching a bus or something. Wes' laugh booms out into the room. "I like you." He turns toward Barrett and me, giving us both a wink before he turns back to Rachel. "You're hired." Barrett and I both turn to look at him, and he shrugs. "She's perfect." Weston winks at Rachel, and the rage boiling in my blood as he flirts with her threatens to consume me. I have to grip the table so I don't punch my own brother in front of the goddess, clearly sent here on a mission to break me. Yes, she is perfect and a walking HR nightmare. I'm a dead man. All right, so that was book 1. Book 2 is out, which is West's story, and he is a reader favorite because he is funny. And then book 3 is going to conclude the trilogy on October 2nd, and that's going to be Barrett's stories.
Wow.
Fun.
Yeah.
I love series that like revolve around brothers.
It was fun to write. Yeah.
Yeah. Because we have all of that. I don't know. Just I love writing the shorts and just, the kind of that band of brothers, whether they're, actually related or not, but just the interaction with all of the guys is kind of fun to read and write, where they're all giving each other a hard time. So
it's been fun. I signed up for way too many collaborations. This was my first year trying to do collaborations, and I got total FOMO, and I learned a lesson, but it'll be fine. I will get through this year. But consequently, the Billings brothers have quite a few friends that have made appearances in collaborations. So their world is actually a little bit bigger than the 3 books.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I guess this question could be for both of you, but let's start with Laura. Do you find it easier to write from the female or male perspective?
Oh my goodness. I really struggle not to write all the women the same. Like I think I do a good job if it can be the one character I know really well. So I'm constantly like, okay, who am I saying she is? And trying to like figure out how to I wouldn't respond this way. This is probably the way I should make her respond, So I actually think it's easier to write the guys because I give them like a grumpy personality or a funny personality or something that's more distinct and a little less personal to me, I think. So Yeah, I think the guys are a little easier.
Yeah. And then do you find yourself putting part of you into the main character, the female main character?
Yeah. Although this one was written, my friend Rachel called me. She was reading some of my books and she's like, I need you to write me a fantasy. And I was just like, okay. I'm like, well, I'm about to start a billionaire. Do you want a billionaire? She said, absolutely. And she said, I want one scene in it. It's an elevator scene in it. It's in the book. And then she said, do whatever else you want. So this one is loosely based on her because I could at least picture someone else in that, you know, like I know her very well. So I could sort of, you know, she's very positive. Like I was able to give her a little more to it that isn't, I wouldn't say I'm not positive, but my friend Rachel is very positive. And so this Rachel is like, gotta get this grumpy man's heart, you know?
Yeah. Have you, besides Rachel, have you ever written a character after somebody you know? Like based them off solely somebody you know?
No, because it gets a little awkward. I mean, mine are very steamy. So even for this one, I had to change the name for a while because I was like, I can't even look at her after this. Like I put her in these positions, right? Like, so I sort of, I don't know, I have a hard time, but I probably am going to have to because, you know, it gets hard to, I don't want to write the same thing over and over. So all the tricks.
Yep.
What about you, Carol?
I mean, I'll take that last question first, and then I'll do the other ones too if you want. But I think it's so interesting because this idea, have I written somebody who's real? When I wrote my fictional trilogy, no, those were really made up characters. But with my new book, Dear Orchid, this is my first foray into a bit of memoir and nonfiction. And so these are all true stories, personal letters, and they are real people. And I think this is where I wrote about people for whom I have respect. And so I wanted to treat their stories with a great amount of respect. And actually, if people were still alive that I wrote about, I sent them the story in advance and said, is there anything you want to correct? Did I get anything wrong? I didn't get any notes back, which is amazing. I wrote about Purple Heart decorated veterans who inspired my Goodbye Orchid series. And I think they're just honored to be in the book. So it's nice. And so that's my first experience writing real people, is for this new genre that I'm heading into. But then you also asked about this gender question, which I think is interesting. Is it easier to write from the male perspective or the female perspective? And I don't know that it's so much gender, but I think that when a character's really going through something big, and I feel a lot of empathy for that character, that's when it's so easy to write. It's because I can be inside their mindset. You know, putting aside gender, I think it's more about the character and the conflict and the, you know, what they're truly going through. Because of course, as all of us as authors know, characters feel like real people, and you end up, you know, tell me if you don't have this experience, but I end up having conversations with them. I can be driving in the car and one will pop up in my passenger seat to chat with me. And so, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And then this last question you asked about, you know, how much of me is in the character. I think readers, when I meet readers, they often feel like the author probably experienced what the characters did. I get that question a lot. You guys probably do too. You know, did this happen to you? Is this why you're writing this? And so I often say it's not that the plot points are things that I myself have experienced. However, the emotions that the characters experience are certainly emotions I felt. And that's the best way to get authenticity on the page, is to have that real life emotion come through.
Yeah. Okay. Raise of hands. Who's cried when they wrote a scene?
Well, I think we probably all have.
Okay. We all have. Yes. Yep.
I feel like the thing I was so proud of is, of course, it sounds terrible to want to make other people cry, but this is the reason I started pursuing publication, because initially I was writing for myself. Is I brought a table of writers during a critique session when we were reading out loud to each other. I brought a table of writers to tears. And so I'm like, oh, if I can make other people cry, then maybe there's something here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good job. Well, and I
Thanks.
think that's why readers read. A lot of readers, why they read, romance or emotional books, is because they want that experience of feeling. Um, so yeah, I think
Mhm.
that's one of the hardest things, though, is to um, you know make the readers feel what it is that you were feeling when you wrote it. Or I think that's definitely a skill.
Yeah.
So when it comes to writing, I was going to ask, this has been a really interesting conversation we've had a couple times recently. Um, when you're writing your books, are you watching it like play out in your head and then kind of transcribing what's happening? So it's almost like you kind of like breathe life into these characters, but then, they kind of surprise you because you're just kind of watching the scenes play out in your head. That's how it is for me. So I'm curious.
I think I write how I read. Like I remember reading an article where they said not everybody reads and sees it like a movie in their head, and I'm like, what? Never
Yeah.
even occurred to me that other, that not everybody experiences that way. So, and I'm in the car a lot. I've got 3 little kids and a day job, so I'm in the car constantly. So I am actually doing scenes like out loud, thinking about it, so that when I get home, I can write it down and kind of work some stuff out. So yeah.
Do you dictate it all?
I've tried in my notes app. I'm
Mhm,
on a couple of groups on Facebook, and people just swear by these
mhm.
dictation services, and I cannot get it yet. I have a hard enough time with my notes app trying to like the period and the comma, and I'll just figure that out
Yep.
later, and then I'll go back and look at it, and I'm like, I don't even know what I was saying there. Hopefully that'll come back to me because it
Mhm.
was rush when it came out, but the notes app sometimes will get enough of it that I
Yeah.
can go with it.
Yep.
I'm going to go back to this like how you see things in your head thing.
Mhm,
Because I thought this was really interesting because I see it as a movie too. How many here do like
mhm.
of
I
you
do.
four?
Yeah.
Do you, Carol? Yeah.
I
Um,
do. Yeah.
but then last week I took this. It was like a business profile kind of test that kind of showed me about my business profile, and then you were supposed to say the first word that popped into your brain when they showed you a word on the screen. And some of the words, like it would show me, like I'd see it in my mind, but then there would be some words where it'd be like clean. And the only thing I saw in my brain was like literally the word clean. And so I put that down, and it made me like kind of like this middle person. But I thought it was weird because I'm like, usually I don't think like this, but for this like speed reading,
Mhm.
I did see just the word, and I was like, I don't know what else to put. I don't know what else to put. Dirty, like
It's so interesting how brains work, and different
Yeah,
people's brains work differently because although
Yes.
all 4 of us see the movie play out and that's what we're writing down, I've had family members realize that they have aphantasia,
Mhm.
which is where you can't picture things in your mind.
Yep.
You
huh?
don't have a mind's eye. And I didn't until just a few years ago, I didn't even know that was a thing.
Mhm.
So, like, startling
Same.
to me. You think
Mhm.
that everyone has the same experience you do, but actually there's such a variety.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
we could go down a deep dark hole with this conversation because then, like, well, does everybody see things in color? Because I do, but like, does everybody? Or, I mean, do some people think replay stuff in their mind in black and white, or is it all color? I mean, I don't know. It's
It's
just
interesting. Yeah.
curious.
I've had that conversation with my husband before too, and one of my kids doesn't
Yeah.
picture things. And
Mhm.
yeah, I've always just assumed that we talked about that last time too, because it's just
Mhm.
still super interesting that but
How
I
the
think
brain
that's what
works.
also makes it so much fun talking with so many authors that we have, is everybody has a little bit of a different process. I
Hmm.
mean, as far as how you see things in your head, whether you are a plotter or a pantser, I think that it's just interesting to hear how everybody's process, goes.
Works. Yeah.
So Carol, I think you had mentioned that you're kind of moving more away from more of like romantic fiction and into more memoir. So, I mean, you're clearly then it's not fiction. So, what has been challenging about that? Or just maybe give us, your impressions of how has that gone, moving from fiction into memoir.
It's interesting. The bridge was quite organic. It wasn't like a plotted out decision.
Hmm.
It actually started because the combat wounded veterans who helped me with my Goodbye Orchid series really touched me and probably changed me. And I ended up writing a letter to one of them, Sergeant Brian Anderson, who fought in the Iraq War. An IED or improvised explosive device blew up his Humvee, and he actually lost both his legs and his left hand. And
Wow.
he was so generous with his time when I wanted to ask him questions, because although I could research my books through secondary research and read everything I could and watch podcasts, there were still questions I had. And he said to me, I'll spend as much time with you as you want, as you need. And he
Wow.
got on the phone with me, and then he said, you know what? We should just meet in person, and I'll just show you how easy I can make it look to be a triple amputee. And it was just life changing to be with him.
Hmm.
That letter that I wrote to him, I thought it was just for him, but it actually became the first and opening chapter in my new book, Dear Orchid. And what
Okay.
I realized is this letter format becomes such an intimate way to have, you're having a conversation with one person who you have so clearly in your mind. And this letter format opened up so many memories for me. I ended up writing a letter to my best friend who later sadly lost her life. I ended up writing a letter to a childhood cat, to a gentleman who inspired my empathy for people with disabilities, like just so many stories. The way I met my husband on a train, um, a woman we met at the Berlin Wall when the Berlin Wall came down,
Hmm.
like just really iconic moments and also very intimate, small moments that stay with you.
Hmm.
So I would just, as authors, I'd recommend, if you haven't tried that, you can write a letter to someone real in your life. You can write a letter to your character or have your character write a letter to you. And it
Hmm.
is really illuminating, the
Hmm.
insights you get and how deep you get and how honest you get on the page. And I think that's what made this book beautiful. This has been quite a week for me with this book, because in the last handful of days, I got my Kirkus review, which I was really happy with today.
Hmm.
I got my reader's favorites review, 5 stars. I got a BookBub deal, my very first ever.
Wow.
Hey, good
Congratulations.
job.
Yeah, you guys will have to give me advice. And I got a Pinnacle Achievement Award for Dear
Oh,
Orchid
that's
all in the last,
amazing.
4 days. Yeah, it's been a whirlwind and really fun.
Hmm.
Nice.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
Thank you. Yeah.
So, with that, Dawn, do we want to
Yeah. I was going to say, with that being said, let's segue right
segue
into
right into
you.
listening
Yep.
to Carol read?
Yes. And you are up there and we're muted.
Okay. So, Laura said she aimed to make you laugh. That is not going to be my goal here. In fact, I often say my Goodbye Orchid series asks the question, what happens when life changes in an instant? And you'll hear when I read chapter 1 from Goodbye Orchid how Phoenix, main character Phoenix, successful entrepreneur, how his life changes in an instant. Chapter 1 is called Temporary Ground, Phoenix. Sunday, July 29th, Manhattan. Phoenix never believed today was goodbye, even though hellos come with goodbyes, like black holes and Stephen Hawking, like donuts and donut holes. But today's goodbye wasn't the end of something. Orchid's kiss, petal soft, had changed everything. That was last night. Today, she stood before him in a leather-edged tunic layered over tights. It's not too late to come with me, she said, her laugh tinkling like the metal bangles on her arm. She and Phoenix stood at the mouth of the TSA pre-check line before airport security, parting a stream of passengers, lodged like two boulders in a brook. Her flight was boarding in minutes. "I'm not going to spoil your moment in the spotlight," he replied. She reached up for a hug. Her slender frame made Phoenix feel even taller than 6 foot. Yet there was tenderness, too. "Mentor. I'm her mentor," he recalled, slipping from her embrace. "Spoil my moment? You know I wouldn't be going to China if it weren't for you. You always encouraged me." Her voice rose above the hum of conversations around them. Her lashes were ringed coal black. Pale skin and ebony hair framed her dark eyes. "Who, me? You did all the hard work. Stop giving me the credit you deserve. You're going to be awesome," Phoenix said. "Thank you. Thanks for seeing me off." "How else was I going to get rid of you?" he asked, his voice oddly gruff. "Shut up. I have abandonment issues, you know that." She blinked. Then her left cheek dimpled. He knew better than to think that she was joking. He wasn't going to tell her, but if it came to it, he'd protect her from a 787 Dreamliner crashing through the windows of their terminal. Orchid tiptoed up to kiss his cheek. The edges of their mouths brushed. Crap. He stepped back, and her hopeful expression came into focus. "You better get going or there won't be any China," he said, and released her elbow. It struck him that their stance mimicked Michelangelo's creation of Adam, their hands nearly touching, as if heaven was in those millimeters between. "I don't want to leave you," she said. "You have to. You have exactly 10 minutes to get through security." She held his glance for a beat too long and opened her mouth. "This thing between us?" He shook his head to stop her words before it was too late. "Don't go all dramatic on me," he said. What he really meant was, don't screw up our magic, the thing that keeps it real. So real that she'd comforted him when he confessed that it was too late to live up to Dad's expectations. Gone 1 year today. That had led Orchid to trust him with memories of the accident that had killed her parents. The one thing they shouldn't talk about was them. Phoenix's ex, tough, mouthy Tish, had said it best. "You break women until there's nothing left," Tish had said as tears fell down her face, and she never cried. "You better go," he said, distancing himself from Orchid's reach. She looked at him as he soft-pedaled back, keeping the attraction between them at arm's length. Her mouth opened and closed. "Do you want to talk about last night?" The previous evening validated every feeling Phoenix had suppressed since starting work with Orchid on a pro bono project months earlier. Standing in the airport, he recalled what his brother Caleb had said the first time he'd seen them together. "You two are hot for each other." "You're going to miss your flight. We'll talk when you're back," Phoenix said. She sighed and ran a hand with rings on every finger through her silken hair. "You're a piece of work, Walker." She used his surname when she was pissed. "And you are a magnificent marketer about to wow the world of beauty. Now go," he said, and watched as she passed through security to board her overseas flight. Tish's accusation rattled his brain. Orchid is not a woman I want to break. Later that morning, after working out and showering, Phoenix pulled on a white button-down and tailored slacks. He was leaving his apartment to see Mom. She was in town for some flower show or a color seminar, and most of all, to be with her sons on the anniversary of their dad's death. Phoenix held the elevator door for Mrs. V and her dog. They chatted until the lift descended to the lobby. "How's Elton feeling today?" he inquired about her panting little terrier. She told him about the pup's joint issues. They walked out into the sunshine together. She bent to lift Elton's paw in a miniature wave. He waved back, then turned left towards the subway station. As he strode, he couldn't stop thinking about Orchid. What makes her so different? Did something shift when she confessed her secrets? She had worked so damned hard to raise money for military vets, even when she couldn't bear to see their injuries. It was like she felt their pain as if it were her own. At the 86th Street station, he descended the steps 2 at a time. Energy buzzed to his fingertips. Down below, the cavernous space echoed empty, except for a homeless man seated on the ground. This guy looked worse off than most. Phoenix fished for a rumpled bill. The vagabond scowled over his bulbous nose at the lone single. Phoenix was distracted by a square of paper that tumbled out with the money. He walked towards the track and unfolded the note. It read, "I'm going to miss you more than you know." Orchid had pressed a lip-shaped kiss print into the blank spot below the words. He'd miss her too, until her return in 6 weeks. At the edge of the platform, he punched up a song from Orchid's playlist and plugged in his AirPods. "Where have you been all my life?" wailed Rihanna. Indeed. He stood without noticing his physical surroundings, lost in thought about Orchid. Sleek hair, slender, smart, strong. Orchid sparked tenderness and more, like no one else he'd ever known. On a whim, he texted Kayla, both thumbs a blur. "You were right about Orchid." 80,000 pounds of solid mass squealed towards the station. Phoenix stepped forward. Rihanna belted out a ballad over the sound of metal on metal. "Are you hiding from me? Yeah, somewhere in the crowd?" In his peripheral vision, he noticed a figure swaying towards the gaping hole in the ground. "Hey!" Phoenix shouted, turning as the beggar stumbled right for the open track. Without thinking, Phoenix dropped his phone and bounded forward. He grabbed the guy's coat to pull him away from the blurred train speeding towards them. The man jerked back. His bearded face screamed with fury. For a moment, they swung with wild centrifugal force. Suddenly, the guy yanked himself free. Phoenix tripped backwards. His feet scrambled to find purchase until there was just air over the edge of the platform. With a split second to grasp at nothing, Phoenix crashed through the empty space to thud onto the track. He could feel the train's screech judder, the sickening crush of steel slicing bone. He could barely breathe. The air filled with screams. He attempted to lift his head, except he couldn't move. Broken until there's nothing left, he wanted to say. The end of chapter 1. And if you heard that rumble in the background, that was my cats. They're wrestling.
I thought maybe they were providing sound effects.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the rumble of the train.
I was like,
cats.
I was sitting here as you're reading it, and I'm like, oh no, yeah. It's,
Yeah.
I think Jen summed it up best here. With that comment, holy crap.
Life can change in an instant, and this is Phoenix's life will change in that instant. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Will never be the same again. Yes.
That,
inspired by wounded veterans. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So 2 very different stories tonight that we were able to hear from.
Yeah.
Both both enjoyable in very different ways. Do you narrate your books, Carol? Okay, because I was going to say, you definitely sound like you have some professional narration skills going on there.
Thank you. Yes. Dear Orchid, I just finished narrating and got the, the audio over to an editor so that I can get ACX files and get it on Audible.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Do you come by that naturally? Did you have to do training, or have you done narration before?
So I did do some training before starting the narration of my debut novel, Goodbye Orchid. And I have so much respect for audiobook narrators. It is a performance. It is an art. It
Mhm.
requires a lot. And I loved reading about how how they attend to their narration. There are some like mouth exercises you can do. There's also some people who will only narrate certain hours of the day
Oh,
because if
wow.
it's too early in the morning, your voice is croaky. And if it's too late at night, your voice is tired.
Mhm.
And so to get even the consistency, there are people who only narrate from 10 to 12, 10 a.m. to
Wow.
noon. Or, I
Mhm.
think it's really a very admirable profession.
Mhm. We've had a few people who have narrated their own books or narrated others' books that have been on the show, and, yeah, no shade to you, Laura, but you can tell. You can always tell when yeah, I have never tried to narrate a book, nor would I be very good at it, but yeah, you can always tell when somebody has had training or does it, professionally, so
Here's a fun tip, though, if you ever decide you might want to try it, to do it before you turn over your final manuscript, because when you read it out loud, you will find the little things that look okay when you're reading inside your head.
Mhm.
When you narrate it, so there's two benefits. One is to be able to find those little things. And the second, I actually love that moment to revisit my characters and to be there again in that moment.
Mhm. Yeah. I have definitely heard that tip before. That or if have someone else read it or just even have, Google Docs or something read it out loud to you so you can hear it instead of reading it because there have been so many times when I'm sure you can all relate where, you know what it's supposed to say or your eyes will just they'll fill in your brain will fill in for you and then you end up
Yeah.
with typos in the
Yeah.
finished book. That happens to me all the time and even, I mean even proofreaders and everything. It's like, how can this have gone through, how many rounds of edits and proofreaders and there still be this stupid typo?
Yeah.
Honestly, that's part of my editing process is and I love it because I can actually like at one point I was cleaning the garage while I had Siri reading my book to me. And then
Mhm,
I'd stop and I'd change the word,
mhm,
because the whole point was to catch those words that I don't see, but AI, AI is gonna be like, hey, you put in this extra word here. Let's just make
mhm.
sure you know. I say that in an English accent because I made my Siri be English so that
Oh,
she
yeah.
can
I like that.
always,
Mhm.
yeah. So I could always sound really fancy when people are hearing my Siri talk to me
Mhm.
in public. So, my Siri's British.
So for both of you, we do not have questions tonight. I'm shocked. We don't have
Mhm.
questions from our readers, but like Dawn said before we went live, we always have plenty of questions, so no worries there. But for both of you, I would love to know, and I know we're talking about two completely different stories, but just what inspired you for this particular story, or where did you get the idea? What was the inspiration? Because I know Carol, you've written, is it a trilogy with Orchid?
Yep.
So you've been with those characters for quite a while. So where was
Mhm.
the inspiration for that?
Yeah, so I often say my series is really inspired by combat wounded veterans, seeing a story in the news about combat wounded veterans during a time that was actually hard in my life. And so seeing how resilient and strong they could be despite really life changing injuries filled me with so much hope and, really inspired me to create this character. So my characters are not actually military characters in the Goodbye Orchid trilogy, but the experience that Phoenix has, the physical, emotional, and spiritual healing he's going to have to go through, mirrors the arc of a journey that a combat wounded veteran could face. And that's why I
Mhm,
say inspired by combat wounded veterans and just so incredibly lucky to have met multiple of them who've helped me with my books and have endorsed and loved my books, including, I don't know if you've ever watched Dancing with the Stars, but you might remember a handful of years ago, Sergeant Noah Galloway was one of the Purple Heart Decorated veterans who competed despite having lost an arm and a leg to an IED explosion and
wow.
competed against able bodied contestants and still came in third place finalist.
Wow.
He's so incredible. And he blurbed my Always Orchid, my finale to my trilogy,
Mm-hmm.
and said my book was like the strength of the human spirit. And I'm like, no, Noah, you are the strength of the human spirit. Like, it was
That's
just so
awesome.
kind, his words.
High praise. Yeah, that
Yeah.
definitely needs to be praise.
Yeah. And if
So-
we don't have questions, I do have a show and tell at the end when you have a
Okay.
moment.
I do have one question though that's specifically for you, because like, why orchid? So I feel like that has something to do with
Yes.
what we just talked about. So why orchid?
Such a good question. Both the names have a lot of meaning to them. So Phoenix might be an obvious name because he has to rise from ashes after what you just heard in chapter 1 of Goodbye Orchid. But Orchid, the thing is that she had tragedy as a child, which makes Phoenix believe that she is sensitive to images of trauma, so that when he wakes in the hospital, he's going to feel that he needs to protect her. In order to care for her, he might need to leave her without explaining why. So her name is Orchid because orchids have a reputation for being delicate. And that's what he's thinking. He's thinking she's delicate and he needs to protect her. But if you ask orchidologists, professionals who grow orchids, they say that orchids are actually incredibly hardy and resilient. In fact, in the wild, they can grow without soil. They can grow in the air. They can pull moisture out of the air.
Wow.
And that is Orchid's character as well. So although she might, because of her tragedy as a child, losing her parents at a young age and witnessing their death, she might seem like she's delicate on the outside. But actually, deep down, she's resilient and hardy. And part of why these books have won awards for women's fiction as well is Orchid's journey to realizing that and finding that in herself.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it gave me chills, so I can see your explanation just now, so I can see how you won some awards with that. So
Well, and I love it too when when we have the chance to name characters, as we do, in every single piece of fiction that we write. I always love it when you can have them, have that layered meaning and everything too. So Laura, what inspired you to write your series?
Well, so I had just finished a small town mountain man series, and I wanted to try something a little different. And I love billionaire romances. That's like my favorite genre, just because gets to be in the city, and So I knew I wanted to write.
Want to get swept off their feet by a billionaire, right?
And they've got the money to do it, and you can be like, no, don't spend your money on me, but spend all your money on me, So I love that part. But I knew I wanted to write brothers. I wanted a really grumpy one. I wanted a really funny one, and then I wanted the one in between. And I had sort of introduced the one in between, Barrett, who's he's the third book, and that's coming out in October. I'd introduced him in the small town series, so I kind of knew what he was like. And so then I get to kind of put those around. So I knew I was going to do the billionaire. And then when my friend Rachel was like, hey, I need you to write this for me, I was like, all right, I got the first book going.
So if readers have requests, they should reach out to you if there's something they want to see in a book. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Let's hope I get popular enough. I can do a Patreon, and that can be a top tier option that you get. You just tell me what your fantasy is, and I will work it into the next book. Yes, I'm in.
Perfect. You heard it here first on Romance Happy Hour. So,
well, Dylan, we are over time, but we have one question from Jen.
I know. Yes, we did. We had a question. Jen popped one in there. Thank you, Jen. Let's get to that. And then I know Carol said she has to show and tell real quick. So Jen wants to know her favorite thing to ask. Who would you have play your lead characters if your book was made into a movie?
We're all curious to know.
My characters are all curvy women, and that is very hard to do and to find in Hollywood. I am not sure about the lady. My guys tend to be Ian Somerhalder from Damon from Vampire Diaries or Dean from Supernatural. Those are the two guys I picture pretty much always when I write things. Yeah. So either of them are interested.
I have heard that before. Popular choice, yes.
So mine are hard to cast. I did, when I was writing Phoenix, I was thinking about a younger David Beckham, because Phoenix, when we meet him, he's 31 years old. And of course, David Beckham's older than that now, but kind of think back a couple of decades to that David Beckham. Orchid is hard to cast because she's half Asian.
Mhm.
And that is so rare, and my boys are half Asian, which is part of why that was really interesting to me, this idea to have, a heritage in really different parts of the world, but still be
Mhm.
all cohesive and part of yourself, which is why I want to play with that. And Orchid does have some moments in which she questions her identity. And it's an experience I had too, being an expat, having, I was
Mhm.
born and raised in the US, but I had a 2-year assignment in China, which is part of
Mm.
why Orchid's wish is to win a work trip to China to feel closer to the memory of her mother. And I tap
Mhm.
into that experience, there. But she's hard to cast. She's hard to cast. So the show
Mhm.
and tell, I know we're out of time. So I'll just,
No, that's
I
okay.
wanted to bring something
Oh,
sweet for
Oh,
everyone, although we're not in
look at
person.
that.
These are custom M&Ms in the colors of my covers with the Always Orchid logo on them, which Mars very kindly made for the launch of my third book, Always Orchid. So it's in the colors, like you can see my covers
How
are
oh
fun.
purple,
gosh.
magenta, and blue, and that's the colors of the M&Ms as well. So I thought we'd end on a sweet note.
I love
I
that.
wish. Yeah, I wish we could end on a sweet note, instead of a virtual sweet note. Yeah, that would be nice if we could all have M&Ms. What are you gonna do with your M&Ms?
I bring them to events, so if readers ever
Fun.
meet me in person, I usually
Mhm.
have a sweet little something. I was signing books in California, a few weeks ago, and I had, Skittles with me. I have a bunch of signings coming up with the launch of Dear Orchid, and so I always bring a little something sweet for the staff at the store as well as for
Mhm.
readers.
Oh, fun.
Oh,
Very
that's
cool.
that's
Yep,
awesome.
very cool. All right, well, yeah, we are out of time. Dawn, you wanna wrap us up?
Yeah. Yeah. So we will be back okay, God. Is it the
2nd
first week in
Thursday in
September?
October.
Okay, I'm just not sure where we are in September. Okay. We will be back on the second
Oh,
Thursday
oh,
of September.
oh, September, yeah, because I was like, "Wait a minute, it's still September." Yeah, I'm the one who screwed
I
that up.
mean, see, I at work, I was planning things for October
Right.
today. So I'm just like, what month are we in? Are we already in October? No, we're not.
Yes.
October 2nd is like stuck in my brain for some reason today, but
So we
we're
will be
not in
back,
October 2nd. We're on
right,
September
September
11th.
25th, 2 weeks from tonight.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, ladies, so much for joining us tonight. We had such a blast with you. Um, readers, if you want to get their books, Dylan posted it in the comments. And thank you again. And we'll say goodbye.